Hello everyone and welcome to episode 2 of the high mileage hero Skoda Octavia. We have just ticked over 432,000 miles. It is a glorious machine, I love driving it. What I don't love so much is the smell. I haven't been able to find the smell, I haven't been able to find the dead animal that's probably hiding underneath a carpet anywhere, which is why I've done the next best thing and I've attached a variety of CT air fresheners to my face. If your car smells bad or if you simply just want to freshen up the interior, then you can do the same. So click on the CT shop link right here and then you can have your own lovely selection, although I wouldn't recommend doing it on the public road because it can get quite intrusive and the smell is making me dizzy, but in a good way. The aim of today's episode is to open up the engine on this 432,000 mile diesel Skoda and then find out, what does the turbo look like? What's the condition, the general condition of a car that's been to the moon and almost back, or 17.3 times around the world? So we are now on our way to This Is Your Garage in Oxford. I'm going to be joined today by Adam Luckett, who runs Volks Techniks, because what he doesn't know about these cars is not worth knowing. What are your predictions, first of all? Well, let's talk engine and let's talk turbo as well, because turbo is original.
Lots and lots of carbon. I'm expecting it to be very black in there. Turbo, there might be a bit of free play in it. Lots of oil around the intake, I'd imagine. Definitely lots of carbon build-up in the exhaust side of the turbo.
And we're doing, well, I say we, you're doing this all completely by the book, so we've got a host of new parts. Talk me through these quickly.
So we've got the new head gasket for when the head comes off. Essential, don't ever reuse an old head gasket, especially not one that's been in an engine for 400,000 miles. To go with that, new head bolts. Then we've got the headset just here. Basically, as you dismantle the head, all of the seals that will come off, there's a new one in here to do it. As the head's coming off, the oil will be coming out. There's potential for contamination between the oil and the water, so we'll be replacing the oil and oil filter. Timing belt kit will be coming off. Might as well change the water pump while we're in there with it all off because it just makes sense to do while it's dismantled. So we've got new timing belt kit and water pump as well.
Yeah, so I'm really interested to see, as you guys I know are really interested to see, inside an engine with over 400,000 miles. So, shall we get started?
Let's do it.
All right.
EGR's off then, so we've got lots of oil and carbon build-up. If you look in there, you can see the oil seeping out of all of that. There's lots of soft oil build-up, but also lots of rock-hard carbon build-up. So this one actually, would you believe, seems to be free, that it is actually moving in and out and opening up. So the exhaust gases come in here, from here, which is directly linked to the exhaust manifold. So as the gases come up, this valve opens and allows the exhaust gases into the inlet, thus into the manifold. We're obviously going to clean this up to some degree because it's absolutely minging, but we want to try not to dislodge too much of the carbon because this engine's done 432,000 miles now. That carbon could be sealing things. Next, I'm going to take a look at the manifolds, I think, see if we can get the manifolds moving. We have our first view of anything that's remotely considered inside the engine. How the camshaft's fared. That is unbelievable. So this engine's done 400,000 miles.
There's literally no scorching on that.
There is some very fine evidence on the back of this.
But it's all pretty smooth, isn't it?
It's smooth as silk.
The peaks, they tend to wear out, do they?
Well, they'll be the first thing to go because they're the thinnest part of it.
Yeah.
And they're also the part that's in contact from here to here is where they contact the top of the tappet.
Hypothetically, you've opened up this engine, you have no idea about the history of the car, you see this camshaft. How many miles would you say, in your experience of opening up engines, would this engine have done? Looking
at it compared with the rest of the engine, I would say this is probably 140,000-ish mile engine.
And why do you think that this has worn so well?
Regular servicing and proper oil.
So that just goes to prove if you look after an engine, there's no reason why it should prematurely die. So first things first, you're actually impressed?
Very, very impressed. Surprised, in fact. Very surprised. I was expecting a lot more wear. Part 2, what does a 400,000 mile car look like underneath? What sort of damage have we incurred under here? What sort of rust? Is there any? It's Alex's, of course there's going to be rust somewhere. Subframe looks good. The leak from the EGR, the turbo's looking very damp. A lot of it will be coming out of that EGR. You saw the state of it earlier. The exhaust, original exhaust, remember?
That is absolutely mental.
Yeah.
The original owner, Russell, said that he's done some welding to it, which is here, as you can, well, yeah. Yeah, it's still there. It's still intact.
The joint to the downpipe is still there. It's all looking good. We'll just draw attention to this original rear silencer. Look at it. The original welds, the original brackets, all of the original coating.
Is that, this looks like it's
yeah.
a date here, 98.
98, 07, 98.
7th month of 1998.
And in case anyone was doubting whether it was original, Volkswagen, Audi, there's your part number just there.
20 years old, this back box. All the brake lines are happy.
The sills, the axle mounts, this is unbelievable. This is a good car.
Looking underneath this, what would your estimated mileage be?
If I just walked underneath this car and looked at it all, I would say sub 100,000.
Really?
But late, you know, 80, 90.
So there's a bit of good consumer advice for you. If you want a car that's going to last you a lifetime, look at an old diesel Skoda.
Adam then removes the downpipe, which enables us to get the head off.
Adam.
Yeah.
Do you know anyone who might be selling wheels 5x110 for this?
These would be 5x100.
Nah, 5x110.
Volks Techniks, 5x100. Google it.
People's Techniks.
Yeah.
Why People's Techniks?
Because it's technical solutions for people.
Oh no, it's 110 PS.
What's the stud pad?
Sorry, I'm on the phone, mate. Right, so I've just been having a look at your comments from last week's video. And as you remember in the video, I said, write down some names, and we have 10,000 comments. So we've had a whole bunch of names, but the one name that stands out by a mile, which is genius, Robert Lloyd. The car is male and called Miles. Robert Lloyd, you've had 1.1 thousand upvotes, 24 comments. And yeah, the car kind of has to be called Miles because it makes perfect sense. Why did I not think about this? However, we're still going to do a poll. So vote in the poll now, and yeah, vote for Miles.
Adam locks the diesel pump and camshafts with locking tools, removes the timing belt and undoes the head bolts. After which the head is lifted off to reveal what over 400,000 miles looks like. Remember, this is the first time the head has ever come off, so we could be faced with almost anything.
400,000 mile cylinder head gasket.
And there are no cracks in it, no nothing. It's happy.
So as expected, we've got an awful lot of carbon build-up, but in all fairness, it's probably less than I was expecting to find in here. The pistons look remarkably good. There's no damage, no marks. The two bores we've got available have barely even got a lip on them. There is unbelievably low amounts of wear. In fact, you can still see the hone-in marks. Brutally honest, I'm amazed. This engine really has been looked after. I almost feel bad at this stage for pulling it apart just to see that it was a really good engine to start with. Let's see the cylinder head. Again, all looking quite clean, quite tidy. One thing we are going to be able to see at this stage is the turbo. So we do have, again, carbon build-up, not anywhere near as much as expected. However, as predicted at this stage, we do have a very fine amount of free play. There's no end float whatsoever. All in all, that turbo is not one that's done 432,000 miles.
So how much life do you think turbo has left in it, and do you think it's appropriate for the life left in the head and the bottom end as well?
Yep, definitely. This is a really, really, really good engine. It's unbelievable. Let's flip it over and have a look at the valve, shall we? Wow, that is remarkable. So you can see the evidence here around the edges of the carbon build-up. It will come off quite easily. It's not going to be too much damage. That carbon build-up around the edge just there could be the reason that head gasket didn't fail there, because the carbon's kept it away from the firing. We clean it all away, put it back together with new gaskets. It might do another 100,000 miles, but the fact that we've opened this engine up could be the reason that it only does another 100,000 miles, not another 400,000 miles. You can see a clean lip around the valve. where it's contacting the valve seat perfectly all the way around. There's no gaps in it. Look at that valve.
That's a happy valve.
That valve, you could clean that up, put it on eBay, and no one would even know it come from an engine of this mileage. The tips of the injectors are clean.
And these injectors, where's the diesel sprayed out of here?
Tiny little holes, you'll see them if you look at the dome.
Oh yeah,
on the
I see,
tip.
I see, at the bottom of the dome.
There's 6 or so tiny little holes around there. Now you imagine the fine spray that would come out of that. I don't think there's any evidence in here that this engine has done that mileage. In fact, I'm starting to wonder whether or not this has been reverse clocked. This is astonishing to think that this is like this.
Everything looks really happy, so there's no reason why, with decent regular servicing, this couldn't do another 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. We'll see how far we can take it. Very happy lump, so thank you very much.
No problem, I'm going to leave you to put it back together now, yeah?
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that.
This high mileage hero isn't done with life yet, so everything will be cleaned and replaced properly, including a new head gasket, head bolts, timing belt, water pump, oil filter, thermostat because the car has been running too cold recently, as well as fresh oil and finally good coolant.
Woohoo! She's running!
There we go! Right, so it is the end of a very long day. Adam from VolksTechniks has worked his magic on this high mileage hero. What were your findings?
Having opened up the engine, I absolutely cannot believe the mileage that this thing's got on the clock. There was very little carbon build-up, very little corrosion, very little damage, very little wear. You could even still see the honing marks inside the bores. You just don't get that from that mileage.
Which goes to prove that service intervals of utmost importance.
Good filters, good quality oil, good quality antifreeze, changed when it should be changed and checked when it should be checked.
If you have a Volkswagen Audi group car, such as a Skoda Octavia like this, and you need some work doing or some servicing, then give Adam from VolksTechniks a call. You are pretty much the oracle when it comes to these cars.
I wouldn't go that far, but thank you.
We'll go with that.
This Monday on the 21st of June, we're going to attempt the impossible by driving the mighty Octavia 835 miles, or 1,344 kilometers, to the Nürburgring and back on one tank of diesel. Will we make it? Find out in next Friday's episode.
For more high mileage episodes, click here. To subscribe to Car Throttle, click down here, and don't forget to check out the Car Throttle shop right there.